Back here at Tiger Field, Japan meeting Israel today. Ralph Benarchik back with you as we look at our star players. Maya Taga, 10-4 so far for this tournament. She'll quarterback things for a very balanced Japan attack. And yesterday, she had a terrific and aggressive game. Big reason why Japan was able to build a big lead over the Haudenosaunee. And Japan plays so steady, and Taga is a big reason for that because of her ability to pass, dodge, and be decisive. 2 goals and 2 assists yesterday for Taga. For Israel, what a tournament it's been for Lindsay McCone, a shoo-in to be named All-World when this tournament ends with 19 goals, 14 assists, 8 of 10 free positions. Yesterday, she took over the game late against Czech Republic, coming up with 4 straight goals in the second half to give them their first lead at 8-7. Significant off the circle. She wants the ball in critical moments. She was a 2021 second-team All-American at Northwestern. Rainy conditions here at Tiger Field. It continues to be a slow drizzle, but Japan is ready. Yoko Shibata, what a job that she has done with Japan here at 6-1. She's worked as an interpreter and translator at Nike Japan in the past, now just the head coach here. She played at Keio University from 05 to 08, and then has spent the last 11 years as the coach at Aoyama Gaokin University, finishing up in the spring of 2021 to work full-time with Japan Lacrosse ahead of these World Championships. Draw control belongs here to Japan. They defeated the Haudenosaunee for the second time in the tournament yesterday. And Japan to work offensively where they've shown off their balance. Kokoro Nakazawa, who plays at Louisville here, number 11. She's going into her junior season. And some great family lineage there with her dad being a former men's soccer, men's national team captain. As it'll be swung around here for Chisa Kobayashi. It's Nakazawa on the attack, with Taga and Miho Sakurai. Feed came into the 11, and the pass knocked away, but Japan will recover. That first midfield, Mayu Fuji, big game yesterday, along with Kanako Mizuno and Kobayashi. Kelly Layton making the start again for Israel. She started all 8 in goal. As they skip it back over the top and back behind, Japan has impressed people all tournament long. Anybody you talk to walking around here, how disciplined they are, how quickly they move the ball, and so much comes from their philosophy that they train at daily and instill into their players. Feed coming in on the sneak, and the bump against Israel. Courtney Miller defending, as coming in was Sakurai looking for the sneak. Defensively for Israel, Megan Lerner with Sarah Meisenberg, their captain, and Courtney Miller on the low D. For Israel, the coaching staff there all bundled up. Japan, after the 12-6 win yesterday, had a chance to get off their feet, rest some starters even for the fourth quarter, but fitness is such a priority, and that's among the areas that Yoko Shibata feels especially. They've gotten stronger as the tournament has gone on. Chisa Kobayashi down the left alley with the dodge, and Japan is able to score on their opening possession. They pay off a long possession of nearly 2.5 minutes.
Japan unassisted goal, scored by number 6.
A calculated drive there by Kobayashi. Here's Shelly Brzezinski, head coach of Israel. who is a native here of Maryland but grew up in Israel until the age of 11. What a fulfilling week she has called this tournament. Getting a chance to coach these great young women that are separating and going their own ways after this. Medical students, a doctor. Trying to finish up with Israel's best ever finish. And to capture 5th place as McCone is called for the foul, so Japan with Kobayashi has the draw control. Japan getting great news as one of their top players in Mio Takahashi, just out of COVID protocols today and is active. They're still missing one other player, but Mio Takahashi, 9 goals and 3 assists in 4 games. It'll be her first game played since the 4th. Coming out in front, Leighton able to come up with a save. She stops Maya Taga.
Saved by Kelly Leighton.
And transition now for Israel. As running on, this will be Abby Stoller, and through transition, with the ball on the ground, Lindsay McCone able to grab it, then her pass is intercepted. Transition opportunity for Japan, where they have been lethal in this tournament. Monica Jones. Nakazawa will put on the brakes. In the bigger picture for this game, Japan's Yoko Shibata impressed with the grit that Israel has played with, particularly their situational lacrosse, as she called it. And when you look at what Israel has done throughout the tournament, they have had to be great in critical times, just like yesterday, after they trailed by 3 goals against the Czech Republic on 3 separate occasions before Lindsay McCone and others came up with big plays. Israel held the slick and offensively explosive Czech Republic to just 1 goal over the final 12:37. Nakazawa. Suzuki had a window. Taga. Risa Suzuki, 3 goals yesterday as she probes. Now they drive on Miller, the physical defender who started out the tournament as a first midfielder on the defensive end, here to close out the tournament. Nakazawa trying to get to her left hand, could not, but the trail check will put Nakazawa to the right hash. Kokoro Nakazawa. This is her World Championship debut. She was all-world at the U19s in 2019. And that's what caught the attention of Louisville head coach Scott Teeter, because they had scrimmaged ahead of that tournament, Canada and Japan did, and then he followed her throughout that tournament, keeping an eye on the numbers she had put up. And there's why. Nakazawa to take it in on Leighton, 2-0 Japan. So free position for Japan. And for Nakazawa, well, the apple did not fall far from the tree. Dad Yuji played professional soccer in Japan's top league until he was 40. 110 career national caps. Played in the 2010 World Cup and even scored against the United States in a 2006 friendly for Japan. And Yuji Nakazawa, now a high school girls lacrosse coach after being one of Japan's most famous men's soccer players. Younger sister Nagai is also playing lacrosse and thinking about coming over to the United States to follow Kokoro. Draw control, and again it's Kobayashi. So the first 3 belong to Japan, and they have asserted themselves and already imposed their will. And for Japan, the closest game that they have played to this point, in terms of final margin, was 5 against Haudenosaunee in their opener. As that feed inside for Monica Jones dropped, And Megan Lerner will leave it here for Kelly Layton. Israel started off slow yesterday against the Czech Republic. They barely had the ball before they found themselves trailing 3-0. Layton on the clear. Danny Jacobstein will come back and get it. So that first midfield with Allie Steinberg-Bernard, 16-year-old Zoe Martin, and Lindsay McCone with Abby Stoller, Jessie Steinberg-Stone, Danny Jacobstein on the attack. It is McCone, Martin, in goal for Japan, Runa Fujita. And Fujita, who made one terrific save in yesterday's first quarter, and that seemed to just deflate Haudenosaunee a little bit. And that is part of what Japan will do. They'll frustrate you with their fundamentals, their steady play, and then their intensity and how consistent they play against you defensively. Ball knocked free momentarily by their defensive standout, Ai Hirose. Also should and could get all-world consideration for her performance. McCone, here comes the double. McCone is tied up, well-timed double team by Mayu Fuji. It has to be moved along to Stone. Stone then against the dangerous calls turnover player in Hirose. Hirose, a fascinating story in a small body, perhaps their smallest defender, but a lefty defender for Japan, number 9 in red, known for her elite balance because she was a ballerina all the way through high school before picking up lacrosse just at the tail end and into college. And still in Japan, most of the players, Yoko Shibata estimating about 80% of our players still pick up the sport only at the start of college. They have a pretty big university system. There's enough high school lacrosse played, but just not at every school the way it's in the U.S. Stoller taking it in off the stick fake. Nice little delay. Stoller played well off the bench yesterday, coming in against the Czech Republic to stabilize things. And that little pause and then redodge makes it 2-1. So Israel scores on its first shot. A long road for Abby Stoller to conclude today. She's played for Israel's development team in 2019, and as I've told her story, after being diagnosed with multiple sclerosis in November of 2021, was not playing lacrosse, and she was able to come back and have a great year for Division III Simmons University in Boston. And then to continue that along here through Israel training camps here into the summer months. Bernard is able to out-hustle Japan there, and Kobayashi for the draw control. McCone, with Japan trying to get settled. McCone does not wait for it. And that might be the way for Israel to beat this Japanese defense. Do not let them get set up. McCone with the left hand ties the score at 2. So McCone saw the defender backing off and finishes with the left. For McCone as a midfielder, she comes in shooting 51%, and there are 8 of 10 on free positions. Many of those have come in pressure situations. And while Japan has only played, you would say, one close game, the 5-goal spread against Haudenosaunee, Israel has played in 3 really tough games that were still in the balance, at least in the middle of the fourth quarter, as McCone came up with the draw. And here comes Israel. as we near 2.5 left, first quarter, looking for the lead. Over on ESPNU, you can tune in to watch Australia, the 4 seed, 3-2 over England. And then coming up at noon on ESPN2, the highly anticipated rematch. The United States and Canada. The U.S. won 16-11 on opening night here. There is McCone putting Israel in front. As she did so yesterday, scoring the most critical goal against the Czech Republic at 8-7. She's able to do that here. So Israel able to gather possessions. And McCone, at times, has carried Israel through difficult moments. McCone has been heavily marked, and yet has still been able to find a way to contribute, even in situations where she was not scoring against the Czech Republic. The Czech Republic did a wonderful job with her, with the length and athleticism of Anna Lotman. But McCone just took it into a different aggressive gear over the course of the fourth quarter, where she scored 4 straight goals and then ended up getting the assist on the 11-9 goal to Jessie Stone, which ended up being the game winner. And then was substantial as Jacobstein comes up with the draw, coming up on the final minute. She was substantial in playing keep away, in icing the rest of the game for Israel, as the Israelis got the ball, their final possession, probably with about 2.5 minutes left. And the Czech Republic never saw it again. "40 seconds remaining. The clock will stop on any whistle under 30 seconds in the first through third quarters. Under 2 minutes in the fourth. Jacobstein was looking to draw and dump with Zoe Martin. Able to flip it along here for Eden Epner. Epner then under great pressure, and Japan able to fish out a ground ball. That's just relentless defending by Kanoko Mizuno. Here's Maiko Iwata, who's come in to cage here. So after Runa Fujita started, the change made by Yoko Shibata in goal. And that'll take care of the first quarter. Israel able to put their slow start behind here between the raindrops at Tiger Field at Towson. They've got the 3-2 lead in the 5th place game. We're back with more on ESPN+.
Featuring true offset technology and ISO warp mesh to help drive the ball right into the sweet spot, and paired with our latest Edge Pro carbon handle, this stick is guaranteed to help find your edge over the competition. You can test and buy new flying products at their tent in the Fan Village and festival event at Goucher College. World Lacrosse is the International Olympic Committee recognized governing body for lacrosse, responsible for providing effective leadership and governance of the sport. World Lacrosse has 77 member federations and hosts 6 world championships on a quadrennial basis. The vision for World Lacrosse is that lacrosse is recognized and played by all countries worldwide and is an Olympic sport. To keep up with World Lacrosse members and championships, follow at World Lacrosse on social media and online at worldlacrosse.sport.
Yep, they switched it up after the starter gave up the first three. Israel leading 3-2 as we start the second quarter this morning from Towson. Japan getting the first 2 goals before Israel had the ball. And then Lindsey McCone would tie the game and then give Israel the lead. There's also past history between these two nations in women's lacrosse dating back to the 2017 World Championship. In what was the first round of the 12-team championship bracket, Israel came from behind and defeated Japan 8-7 in overtime. And Yoko Shibata recalling that game, talking about the impact it may have on today and how it impacted Japan as a whole. Losing that game, Israel would go on to finish in 6th place. That was a 12-team championship bracket at the time. It is, of course, this year increased to 16 teams in a 29-team tournament. But in that game, it was all about situational management for Japan. They were up 2 with 5 minutes to go. Israel would tie up the score with 5 seconds left in regulation, and then Israel would win it in the second overtime. So Japan certainly remembering that game, and Yoko Shibata said that they practiced situations within their training camps and had a situational portion in their practices and training for a good 6 months after that World Championship, and just to kind of add situational work within what they do. Taga, nice face dodge here. Kobayashi making a great decision. Had some choices whether to keep it along, but a crease violation will give the ball back to Leighton and Israel. So the mistake by Japan. This is Stone tight-roping the sideline. And Stone will get the clear. Israel 3 for 3 shooting. And remaining in goal is Maiko Iwata. She came on to replace the starter Runa Fujita after Fujita gave up the 3 goals. Bernard, and now Martin. Martin angling. As that pass came across the face of Cage, he was looking to feed, and it's recovered by Japan. So Iwata has it, and now a potential turnover with the ball on the ground. And the scrap forward as Jacobstein lost her balance, and Japan has the pickup with Miku Sugaya. And the defender will get it ahead. And a transition opportunity here for Taga. As Japan slows it down, and we'll watch for their off-ball movement as they sub in through the box. As they bring on Mio Takahashi for the first time, 7 in red. And again, she's just out of COVID protocols, but she is a lefty on the attack that brings something different, as does Nakazawa. And Nakazawa lost it. No foul. Risa Suzuki. Japan keeps possession. So Takahashi's behind. She led Japan in goals in the 2017 World Championships. Taga, there's Takahashi. Can she get topside off the fake to her left hand? And she does instantly. What a big moment that is. She hasn't played since the 4th of July on Monday. just out of COVID protocols. Welcome back, Mio Takahashi. 3-3. So significant for Japan to get her back. As Yoko Shibata says, she brings a different dimension to us as well as her experience. And her first game in the medal round, and coming on here on her first touch, able to finish. Suzuki now against Jacob Steen. And Israel with possession.
Draws awarded to Lindsey McCone.
So far, this game has been played exclusively in the half field. A big plus for Israel. The transition game of Japan has been explosive. Yesterday, they pushed tempo against the Haudenosaunee as they had built up a lead of 12-2 before Haudenosaunee put in some cosmetic goals at the end. And the transition also hurt the Haudenosaunee in the pool play game, 13-8, won by Japan. Ayaka Inoue defending against Bernard. Stone against Hirose. And then this feed for Rowland. It'll stay in the field of play for Stone. It's a nice turf here at Tiger Stadium, the home of Towson Women's Lacrosse. McCone. Risa Suzuki could be the fastest member of Team Japan. And she tries to stay with McCone against her quickness and physicality. Now Jacob Steen. Suzuki nearly had the interception. McCone to take it in, and then McCone picks up a foul. Well, Suzuki was a quarter of a second off from a knockaway. Lindsey McCone, who has been lethal on free position. Maiko Iwata in goal for Japan. Iwata has started 3 games, 11 saves. McCone takes it in, Iwata the stop. Iwata has played with Team Japan since 2007, a huge personality that allows her to come in at times off the bench and provide a spark. And now the other way to try to add a second as Takahashi, and that shot misses. Currently on ESPNU, they're tied at 3. Australia and England playing for the bronze medal. Next door over at Johnny Unitas Stadium. And over on the lower field, the Czech Republic had a big lead. I think it was 9-3, and now it's 9-8. Czech Republic over Haudenosaunee late third quarter. That game is for 7th place. Taga, Nakazawa, a flip pass. Here comes Suzuki. What a flip pass that was. Fantastic flip pass by Nakazawa as she was cutting across as a lefty. Essentially a drop pass behind her. That's a fine goal. Japan back in front, 4-3.
Japan goal scored by number 2, Risa Suzuki.
Nakazawa adds an assist. A slick goal by Japan to take the lead here, nearing 5 minutes left. And for Japan, one of their main staples in terms of philosophy has become off-ball movement. They emphasize it so much, and Yoko Shibata describing, and of course it makes sense. And of course every team knows that it's vital, and they talk about it, they try to emphasize it, but at Japan it is truly instilled in the players. Great description of it even on the men's side, that for Japan is it's basically summed up as always running fast with or without the ball. And that's become Japan's own national style to try to separate themselves from the other competing nations. And what they did, they had to start off with how they coach their college freshmen and sophomores who are just beginning the sport. So rather than just stick skills, kind of the first order of business is moving off the ball and doing that as fast as possible in a controlled manner. And then eventually the stick skills catch up, and then you're able to do things at game speed consistently. Israel off the draw. Japan led 2-0. Israel took the lead. McCone with back-to-back goals to tie it, and then go in front 3-2. Takahashi entering her game into the match instantly off the bench. Made it 3-3, and then Suzuki from Nakazawa has given Japan the lead. Stone on the sweep right. And a moving screen against Jacobstein. So Israel turns it over. This ball bounces and carries through. Chance for Israel to pick it up. Jacobstein the other way. Under 3 minutes to go. Danny Jacobstein, native here of Baltimore, one of the many McDonough products that is in this tournament. Eden Epner. Epner will resume medical school after this tournament. Bernard, as she tried to work through Kanako Mizuno. Stone met quickly on the catch by perhaps their most physical defender, their strongest player certainly, in Miku Sugaya. There comes the cut. Bernard, save is made to the off-stick side. That's good location, but Maiko Iwata showing her talent on that save. As Japan with Hirose circling for the clear. She played in 2019 in the WPLL, the Women's Professional Lacrosse League, becoming the first member of Japan to do that. Will not be the last when you're seeing the talent that is on display here. So Takahashi had 3 goals and an assist in the opener against Haudenosaunee. The drop ball for Suzuki, and it's dropped. Megan Lerner, the pickup. And Israel, as we near 1 minute left, will have a chance to tie. Iwata's made 2 saves since coming in midway through the first quarter.
Red flag.
Martin to try to initiate. Pass off the stick of Bernard. And a call against Bernard as a Japan defender lost her stick. Japan's trying to push transition here in the final moments. They'll go here to Hirose. Taga. And that pass behind her teammate in Kame, and that'll take care of the first half. Japan, the 9 seed with the lead over 6-seeded Israel. 4-3 at halftime in this 5th place battle. Israel trying to get their best ever finish. They trail Japan by a goal. We'll take time out and come back with more here from Tiger Field at Towson on ESPN+.
Do you know? I've seen it all before. There goes Tiger, just as sharp with the bending knee. My main man, Money the King. We ain't nothing. I ain't seen.
Okay, old school. Have you seen someone ball like John Morant? No, you can't. You've never seen anyone like a thing. The point guard queen, Sky, or Chloe Kim. Do you know there's never been anyone else like them? Look, OG, no disrespect. I know you think you've seen everything, but you ain't seen nothing yet. Checkmate.
Every player knows the skills you learn on the field can be the foundation for anything you choose to do in life.
Thank you for the sweat, the tears, the pride, and for the celebration we share.
When I reach for a stick, it's like I'm shaking hands with history. Thank you for connecting me to a greater community.
It's more than a game to me. It's a gift to be a positive force in young athletes' lives. And I'm thankful I can help the next generation develop a love for the sport.
When I was his age, those moments on the field meant everything. Thank you for giving us a way to stay connected, even as they get older.
We're growing beyond goals on the field.
And our futures are united.
You give me the opportunity to fuel aspirations
and to ignite potential.
So thank you, Lacrosse.
For inspiring me to be me.
We are better,
safer,
and wiser together.
And we're building a stronger future
for everyone.
Japan with the halftime lead over Israel, 4-3. Japan the 9 seed and Israel the 6 seed in what has been a game played exclusively in a 6-on-6, and it's been about execution. Israel 3 of 5 shooting, Japan 4 of 6. Japan's lone loss came to the United States in the quarterfinals, and what a moment and thrill it was as Coach Yoko Shibata talked about that, and the pictures. Monica Jones idolized Kayla Trainer growing up. Monica's mom is Japanese. She played lacrosse in high school and was on Japan's U19 squad. And a big hug, and you see the emotion from Monica Jones meeting Kayla Trainer, now the head coach also at Syracuse University and a major star at Syracuse. And in that game, while it was a final score of 18-3 United States, but Yoko Shibata said that the impact on us is we had to play so much defense, and we hope that seeing that game changes the culture of our offense, meaning everybody has to have a mindset of being a scorer out there, 6-on-6 moving forward for Japan, for them to get to the next level and winning games like this, and everybody has to feel like they're a threat and establish skills towards that direction. 18-3 was that final, but a great moment for Japan to take the field and face the United States at Johnny Unitas Stadium. 4-3 is our halftime score. We're back with more in this fifth-place game. All right. Oh, we're warming up Fujita now. We'll see what happens. Come on, Czech Republic. Ooh. Bam. Martiri, 11-9. Bam, you saw that shot from here? No. Nope, there's only 4 games. The 3 going on now in the U.S., Canada. That's it today. That's it. It's over. You can come tomorrow. You could play. Japan with the 4-3 lead over Israel. What's been a well-played game so far for 5th place. Here's a look at our championship bracket, how the teams got here from the quarterfinals and on. It all ends coming up. That's today at 12 p.m. Eastern. You can watch that game on ESPN2. And a look at our first half stats. A couple saves apiece, and Maiko Iwata coming on midway through the first quarter to get those saves for Japan in the change-up. Kelly Layton, again, for Israel, has played very, very steady. The draw controls, Israel with a narrow advantage. Turnovers, 5 apiece. Not much separating these two teams in the flow of the game. Israel has been able to play 3 really close games, so they've had the situational experience so far in this tournament, and we'll see if that plays out and impacts this game in the 4th. Third quarter coming up on ESPN+.
We want the gold medal. We've been dreaming of it our entire lives. But this summer, we want more. We have an opportunity together to change the sport and women's athletics for the better. The eyes of the lacrosse community will be on us. Never has this sport been more popular. Never has this platform been bigger. So what's this about? A team of talented women with a shared goal. Inspiring a new generation, one whose identity is a sense of pride and not a limitation. Relentlessly pursuing equity in our sport and beyond, we want the greatness of all women's athletes to shine. The world will be watching. Let's put on a show. This is more than a medal. Are you with us?
Fasten your seatbelt.
The game you've always loved just found a new gear.
Introducing World Lacrosse Sixes.
It's speed and scoring.
Tempo and transition.
Athleticism and action.
It's big-time energy packed onto a smaller playing surface.
It's the game you've always loved, brought to you at warp speed.
It's lacrosse on the Autobahn.
Don't blink. This is World Lacrosse Sixes.
They're lined up to watch the U.S. and Canada coming up at noon, just next door. And meanwhile, we are underway in this third quarter with Japan getting the draw control. And the beauty, also the way this tournament is set up, is that all the other teams, just like they do on opening night to watch the U.S.-Canada game, I think the vast majority of the teams will be in the stadium watching. Some having perhaps flights scheduled for tonight, but for the vast majority, everybody leaving tomorrow. So they have a chance to relax today and take in the action. There are still a total of 4 games that were played today. So for some nations, you had to make sure that, certainly if there was a chance you can make it here into the championship bracket. But players that live within driving distance perhaps can still stick around and watch the game today at noon. And that'll be fantastic for the continued growth of this sport. For all these players in developing countries and established countries, they get to see the players from the U.S. and Canada play a super competitive game, which I think that will be up close and personal. Stone trying to start a little two-man game with Rowland. Now the flip pass to Julia Rowland. Ayo Hirose defending. They try a little brush screen on Hirose. And that's a tough pass to make by Rowland, trying to feed Jacobstein. Loose outside the crease. Stone pursues, and the call against Israel. A very tight little window to throw that pass through. So Japan is proven to be very difficult to break down again. They have not gotten anything in transition, however, as they look the other way for Narumi Nukoi on the clear. And Nakui drops it off. Only 11 combined shots between the two teams. Yesterday, Japan held Haudenosaunee just 12 for the game. This is Nakazawa taking matters into her own hands. Got the skip pass from up top, and with great momentum, dodging to goal. Gets to her strong left hand, and now it's a 2-goal lead for Japan. Nakazawa for the second time. So Nakazawa, who's been playing since she was a middle schooler in Japan that had a lacrosse team, which very few do, had 12 goals, 10 assists this year, a 3-goal game against Marquette. As a freshman on a down Louisville team, did score a goal and an assist at Boston College on a super team led by Charlotte North and among others. And a great thrill for her and the country of Japan that she was able to get on the field in that game. And Kokoro has said she wants to give the Japanese young players an impressive role model. Well, I think she's already done that. Transition opportunity. Kamei. And the foul against Israel. So Lerner trying to stop that transition. Nice pass swung from the wing. Well, hold on now. We're going to get a call here. Is it more than just a foul? Will it be a yellow against Lerner? Well, there's an infraction somewhere off ball against Japan, so this is going to lead to a toss. It takes the free position away from Kanakame. She'll duel against Lerner. And Lerner quicker and stronger to it. Outlets ahead for Delaney Benson. And Israel trailing by 2. Stone able to avoid a charge and running into Inoue. And that pass deflected, and it's Hirose up with it for Japan. Japan so quick on the ride, and now they come here to Risa Suzuki, and they're in the box. So Suzuki to settle. Nakazawa. Lerner on the matchup. The flip past Suzuki. Inside into the 11 it came for Takahashi, who is fouled. Decisive and quick change of direction from Japan will give Mio Takahashi a free position. And Takahashi pings it off the pipe. What a return for Takahashi. She's added 2 after being away from the team for 4 days. 6-3 the score.
Japan three-position goal scored by number 7, Mio Takahashi. Her second goal of the game, 11th of the World Championship.
So Israel again in a 3-goal deficit, and as they were yesterday against the Czech Republic, they had to rally in the second half. Japan shooting 6 for 8 in this game and 2 for 2 free position. So as McCone comes up with the draw, and so far McCone on the first couple of Israel possessions has not been involved. He turned it over last time. Maiko Iwata remaining in cage for Japan. Emily Wisoki on for the first time. Had an assist yesterday. Will be a senior at Wagner College. Speaking of Kayla Trainer recruited Wisoki to Wagner. Draw and dump there was Martin cutting into the 11. Could not bring it in. Loose ball. Iwata coming out. Hirose in traffic will come up with it for Japan. So Japan forces the turnover. As they look for the clear, 7 turnovers apiece. And Iwata, comfortable out of cage, over to Kobayashi. Through the middle, Mizuno. And Maya Taga, who had a big game yesterday with 3 goals against Haudenosaunee. Quiet today. Suzuki. Up top, Fuji. Here comes Takahashi, the hot shooter. What a difference for this Japan offense Mio Takahashi makes. As they cycle, and the timing perfect. 7-3 Japan. Timeout Israel. So the turnovers on the other end proving costly to the Israelis. Maya Fuji on the assist, but that's just tremendous cycling and flip passes and the speed of which that Japan is able to do that. 6:08 left, so Shelly Brzezicki, I think, clearly is addressing the offense because they're going to have to find a way when they get possessions to be a little bit more dangerous. McCone has not been involved. Neither is Zoe Martin as a Dodger. And Japan so good in terms of preventing you from breaking them down one-on-one. And for Japan, they have walloped some teams. 25-3 over developing nation Argentina. 19-1 against China, who's solid. 21-1 against Switzerland, who has been well established. Then 12-3 over New Zealand, and that was the first game that they played, missing 2 players due to COVID protocols. As well, Israel at 12.1 per, and Israel in a very tough group. You can argue perhaps the toughest next to Pool A, or aside from Pool A, because it had the Puerto Rico and the Netherlands in it, and Korea. And the 15 there, Norway as well in that pool. 7-3 our score. So the timeout over. And still a lot of time left. And in terms of draws, with Lindsay McCone in there either on the circle or taking them along with Ali Steinberg-Berner, there's certainly a chance for Israel to make comebacks, and they have proven that consistently in this tournament. Meanwhile, on the lower field, it's a final. The Czech Republic captures 7th place over Haudenosaunee in what looked to be a thriller. 12-11 that final. Congratulations to the Czech Republic. Kobayashi able to self-draw. And Japan to try to continue the momentum that they have built here in the third quarter. They've scored 3 here. And they've scored 5 straight. And they've held Israel without a goal for 25-plus minutes. As they play the cat-and-mouse substitution game, Nakui is able to retrieve her own ground ball. So clever there from Japan. Nakui, who is a lefty defender, perhaps to try to catch Israel there and find an opening, could not bring the pass in. Miho Sakurai. Takahashi. Israel certainly knowing her number 7 jersey now. Kobayashi saw the help defender, swings it here in the sneak for Takahashi, and Japan will continue to move it side to side. Suzuki Isos. Kobayashi off the hitch, past McCone, and then past Layton. What a face dodge from Chisa Kobayashi, freezing one of the top players for Israel in McCone up top. Got to her right hand, and then it was over. 8-3 Japan.
Japan unassisted goal scored by number 6, Chisa Kobayashi. Her 7th goal in the World Championship.
8 straight by Japan, and they've come in different forms. And almost unusual for Japan, where they have a straight line dodge drive goal. Their ball movement so good, but that time Kobayashi just getting McCone off her little shake, flat-footed, and then the blow-by. So with 3:37 left, third quarter, Kobayashi fishes out another ground ball off the draw. Shoveled along for Ayaka Inoue, and Japan sensing that this is a chance to perhaps overwhelm Israel here. The fewest goals Israel has been held to was 9 by the Netherlands. Or rather, correct myself, 5 against England. And England right now is playing for the bronze medal against Australia. Nakazawa. Down low it comes. Taking across, and a score for Sakurai. Sakurai trying to make sure she would not charge there. I think trying to take the charge for Israel was Sarah Meisenberg. Good thought. But again, wonderful ball movement, 2 passes away. Drawing the initial slide. So Sakurai gets the goal, but it's yet another goal that comes out of team offense.
That goal was assisted by Mayu Fuji.
Mayu Fuji had that second pass after the initial slide. And Kobayashi again. Well, certainly this is perhaps the biggest surprise of this game. Not necessarily that Japan isn't quality on the draw, they are, but because of perhaps at times how easily they've been able to win draws away from Israel with Steinberg, Bernard, Jacobstein, and McCone, the 3 circle players typically for Shelly Brzezicki. And they've just not been able to get even enough 50-50 draw control possibilities. It's now 9-6 draws for Japan. Final minute, third quarter. Kokoro Nakazawa. Nakazawa past Sarah Platt. There came the help defender and learner. Takahashi. Takahashi saw a little window, and then she's taken down. So as she slowed up, she picked up the bump. And now Takahashi, who had a great free position goal earlier this quarter. Let's see what she'll have for us.
Red flag.
And Takahashi will pass it up. So Japan to try to hold for the final shot. And taking it into traffic, that time Mayu Fuji, but it's picked up by Japan. Short time, 7 seconds left. Down to the crease. The catch made, but the shot missed by Takahashi. What a look-ahead pass by Kamei. And Takahashi, you're almost surprised that that ball wasn't buried. It was a one-on-one look. Quick feed, and that was Nakazawa A whistle before the shot with 1.4 showing. And I think our official is saying procedure is going to be called here. That's a false start. The Japan player never got set. You're supposed to stop your feet and then restart yourself. That's different than the NCAA or U.S. high school rules. Or otherwise, it had to be on Israel, perhaps, in that case. And as Japan throws the ball away, that takes care of the third quarter. Japan scores 5 times, and they separate from Israel. They've scored 7 straight goals. We go to the fourth. Japan looking to finish off the Israelis for 5th place here at the Women's World Championship on ESPN+.
In 2023, the World Lacrosse Men's Championship is headed to San Diego. 30 nations are set to compete in America's finest city, starting on June 21st next year. There will also be a youth festival in San Diego to engage with boys and girls players from around the region, country, and world. Fans can keep up with developments for the Men's Championship, including information on tickets, accommodations, and schedule over the coming year at worldlacrosse.sport.
And if the score stays the same, if you want to radio to him, I vote for Takahashi as player of the game. I don't know how they decided. I mean, they should ask the broadcaster, you know. Yeah. I mean, you know. Yeah. I mean, we're the ones that know the most about, you know, going on and impacted the game, so. 7, yeah. 3. She missed 3 games. Yes, yeah. I mean, look, they have 2 20 plus. They have 3 games of 19 or more. So they've pounded some people. But they are legit good. They remind me of a couple high school teams that they play slower but such controlled, you can't rattle them. Yeah. Nice player. Curious how good her sister is. Who's I was trying to find if she's committed anywhere. Her name it didn't come up, but their coach said she thinks she's, yeah. So she's like 2 years younger. So she should be going into either freshman or high school senior year. And you heard what I said about her dad, right? Major. Good job listening. 9-3 as we start the fourth quarter over in the lower field. Congratulations to the Czech Republic as their journey has come to an end here. They capture 7th place. They defeat Haudenosaunee 12-11, getting an Anna Lawton goal with a minute left. Meanwhile, the situation here, well, Japan in the second half outscoring Israel 5-0, and Israel, again, probably had the ball for maybe 3 minutes of that third quarter. Seven straight goals by Japan. And for Israel, it has to start with just collecting a possession. It's 9 out of 15 draws for Japan. But Japan's put together a string of them. McCone pursues. So does Jacobstein. And the foul against Israel. So frustrations mounting for Israel. Or check that, I'm sorry, it's going in this direction, which is Israel and Jacobstein. And the other thing that it has done, and it's taken Israel out of some great rhythm on the offensive end. Touched on before that Israel starting midfielder Courtney Miller, who's played a little bit in this game. She was the starting midfielder for the first 6 games, but playing 8 games in 10 days, and you could just tell yesterday that she was beginning to wear down with a lingering injury. Still played solidly on the low D against an explosive Czech Republic defense. And Miller clearly not available to play offense here. A dynamite player, 4 times first team All-Patriot League at Colgate. So Israel greatly misses her. But it's been Zoe Martin that has stepped up a lot. Bernard along with McCone in the midfield. Bernard comes away with it. Bernard shoots off the stick fake, beating Iwata. 9-4. So Israel has been in this position, as I've alluded to. Tight games against the Czech Republic. The Netherlands really pushed them on a hot afternoon over in the lower field. 9-5 was that final. There were some key moments in that game. Possessions under pressure. And then 14-11 against Puerto Rico. Bernard with her 16th goal of this tournament. And Israel's first goal since 2:08 remaining in the first quarter. So that's about 34, 35 minutes of scoreless lacrosse played by Israel. But yet I still think you can consider them very much in this game with what we've seen from them in the tournament and having Lindsay McCone on the roster. So off the draw, the call will go against Japan. So Jacob Steen has it. And McCone being very tightly defended. Mayo Fuji in a face guard, kind of middle of your picture, 10 in red on McCone. And look at the job done by Mayu Fuji. Stone. Rowland was looking for the brush screen. Now trying to switch to her left. Ball knocked free. And it belonged to Israel. Subtle little check by Maika Tomura, defender for Japan. Just getting in on the hands and on the bottom of the stick of Rowland. Bernard, there was the help defender right in her face. And then the pass for Stone is turned over. Just tremendous sliding on a string by Japan. If Stone comes down with it, Hirose is right in her face. And Japan, the way they play defense, it is as if they already know the next pass that their opponent is making. Hikari Takano. Shots are just 12-6 for the game, as we're nearly 5 minutes in, fourth quarter. Japan has been held out of transition, and that has been among their signature strengths of this World Championship, along with Nakazawa's scoring. Suzuki. Dropping it back. Takano to goal. Missed a great look. Hikari Takano had a free run to the crease. In her third World Championship. More known as a transition defender and a D-midi. As Taga dropped it off. Roll back from Risa Suzuki. To the crease it comes. Japan converts. Hikari Takano has, check that, they'll say no goal. So Takano with 2 great looks in the possession, and Israel escapes. McCone. And Japan has made it very difficult for Lindsay McCone to get involved in the game. Now Ai Hirose on that matchup will be put behind. McCone as she looked to the backside. Isos against Tamura. McCone trying to squeeze the pass through. Martin grabs it. Rowland looking the feed. Julia Rowland has provided some steady scoring, playing an attack, and she forced that shot. Not much of an angle there. Easy save for Iwata. And now Japan, rare opportunity to transition. Up ahead. 3-on-1. Taga, another opportunity off the fake. It's bounced in. Takano. She had just missed 2. Takano put herself in a great spot. She got the feed, and Japan's transition game is heard from. 10-4. Well, it started on the other end. Japan's defense and the pressure of the score. Rowland taking the shot. And Iwata holding that near pipe. Fantastic transition. Taga will get the assist. And Japan 10 of 15 shooting in this game. 7 minutes away from capturing 5th place. And the draw control belongs to Fuji. And Suzuki will get in. Suzuki got the return to goal. 11 for Japan. Well, Japan like a machine here in the second half. Keep coming and getting stronger as the morning goes on. Israel will take the timeout, but is there enough time? 11-4, Suzuki this time on the feed from Mio Takahashi, and feeding that with her offhand. Oh, what a satisfying second half this has been, I think, for Yoko Shibata. She's played for the Japanese national team. Japan as a country is in the World Championships for the 8th time. Yoko played at Keio University. That's the second oldest college that's had a team. 2005 to 08, or rather oldest. University of Tokyo was first. Well, she started playing for Japan on their U22s in 2008. 09 World Championship, she was on the team, and then started her coaching career at the university level at her alma mater, Keio, as an assistant coach, and then spent 11 years as the head coach at Aoyama Gaokin University. And they're starting to build more and more young players. It used to be about 95% of the players from the national team picked up the sport for the first time in college. Now she estimates it's only about 80%. So they have some select players that have been playing the sport through their teenage years. And what a difference that makes in so many areas in terms of stick skills, and even game awareness. And while you can train in wall ball all you want, but the game awareness is so vital. And Japan has something very special building here. They've changed the assist. It was not Takahashi, it was Taga who's got the last 2 assists. After Bernard had made it a 9-4 game with still a lot of time left. As McCone deals it behind for Epner. Feed for Jacobstein intercepted. Suzuki saw that coming. And Suzuki throws on the move for Kanakame. Up ahead, Takano. Next player through, Kame. Then trying to return and get it back to Suzuki. And it's blown dead. And Japan not satisfied to just play keep away. An impressive second half from Japan. This was a 4-3 Japan lead at the break. Israel led 3-2 after the first quarter. Nakazawa. Here comes the cutter, and the shot buried. With Israel pressing out, Kanakame darting to the front, and Japan now pouring it on. For Japan, their best finish ever was 5th place in 2005, but that was a much smaller tournament. And when you look at 5th out of 29 teams, how significant that is. Japan also winning the ASPACs the last 2 times through. That's the Asia Pacific Championships, in which they've defeated Korea. Korea has been their biggest competition there, but we've seen progress from Hong Kong, China here in the tournament. They have 5 homegrown players and then an assortment of players from the U.S. with heritage as well as Canada. Bernard shot on the move, save made Iwata. And then she throws a perfect clear up ahead, and Japan looks for more. Takano. That pass came down to Suzuki. Risa Suzuki. These 2 teams will have teams entered in the Sixes tournament at the World Games that are taking place right now in Birmingham, Alabama. You can call that the Olympics of the non-Olympic sports. A lot of different and interesting sports taking down, just lacrosse. And those also available to be watched via ESPN+. The women's bracket gets started on Tuesday. So the Czech Republic, who just finished on the lower field, it's a 12-player roster, all comprised of the players that are finishing up here at the World Championships. All the big stars from the Czech Republic will be there. Israel will send a few of these players, including Lindsay McCone, down right to Alabama. Japan also has a team entered there, but that will be an entirely new group. As Yoko Shibata thought that it's more valuable to get the experience for the other players. And the great news for Japan, they have enough bodies that they feel that they can send down there to play against high-caliber competition. So Israel and Japan could meet one another in the middle of the week. There is Nakazawa. Just adding to the celebration here. Nakazawa with 3, 13-4 Japan.
Japan goal scored by number 11, Kokoro Nakazawa. Her third goal of the
Fuji on the assist.
20th of the World Championship.
And Japan's balance, also such a theme here in the World Championships, where it's more than just 2 to 3 players where you say they have to try to contain them. It's truly a team-oriented offense that players just happen to score a lot of goals through. Iwata under pressure of Epner, and she'll roll it into her crease. Approaching the final minute. Israel in danger of being held to 1 goal over the last 3 quarters. High pass, but that is backed up by Mizuno. And credit Coach Yoko Shibata for making the goalie change. Israel scoring 3 goals. She pulled her starter, Runa Fujita. And Iwata was immediately to the test. She came up with a big save on the first defensive possession. She finishes with 4 saves in this game. Fujita did not make a stop in her 13 minutes of action. So Nakazawa steps in, 20 seconds left. Japan turns it over. That pass over the top for Jacob Steen, out of bounds. For Israel, they'll look to regroup for the European Championships in 2 years, 4 years from now for the Worlds. Potential homegrown players on the way up. But today, particularly the second half, has been all about Japan. Japan finishes off a terrific World Championship in 5th place. They finished 7-1. They've been the talk of the tournament. They will exit as the talk of the tournament. An impressive statement over 6th-seeded Israel, 13-4. Japan matches its best ever finish, which was 2005 in a much smaller bracket. Japan Lacrosse has reached a peak, and it looks like they still can get even higher. Meanwhile, the bronze medal game has also gone final. England outlasting Australia this morning. Correction, that game still with time left in the 4th. Gold medal game coming up, noon Eastern time. The United States taking on Canada. 13-4 Japan. Mio Takahashi in her first game back off of COVID protocols shoots 3 for 5. Kokoro Nakazawa outstanding as well with her left hand. 3 goals and an assist. Suzuki, Kobayashi, Takano with 2 goals apiece. Lindsay McCone tried to do everything she could for Israel, held to 2 goals. Israel held to just 8 shots for the game. And Japan ends up shooting 13 of 18. Congratulations to Japan, finishing in 5th place at the 2022 Women's World Lacrosse Championships. For our entire crew and our wonderful men and women on our crews, I especially say thank you and so long to all of you for watching as we complete coverage right here from Tiger Field. My name is Ralph Bnorchik saying so long and goodbye from Towson, Maryland on ESPN+.